Story for Mad Max is: in the ravaged near future, a savage motorcycle gang rules the road, terrorizing innocent civilians while tearing up the streets. The ruthless gang laughs in the face of a police force bent on stopping them, but they underestimate one officer, Max Rockatansky. And when the bikers brutalize Max's best friend and family, they send him into a mad frenzy that leaves him with only one thing left to do in the world to live for: revenge. This is the action movie that put Australia on the map in Hollywood. Suddenly people on this side of the globe could see that Australians can make great movies, and this helped put Mel Gibson in the spotlight. The film starts out with a car chase. A great car chase that has plenty of close calls and one giant fireball explosion at the end that will almost send you cheering if not riled and excited for what lies ahead. During this car chase, they build on Max. They don't show his face, you just see his body and him tuning his squad car before being called in for the chase. And you don't see his face until after the explosion at the end of the chase that sends a great rush of excitement for seeing our hero finally introduced. As the movie continues, we see, if one hasn't already noticed, the world is in the shitter after some unknown catastrophe. We only know that this film takes place sometime in the future and gives no reason as to why the world is like this. But since the world is in the shitter, the world looks terrible. The police work in a dilapidated, crumbling building. The streets are dangerous, no big cities are in sight, and is one of the many factors that gives the film its dark, gloomy look. The costumes, I have to admit, were not bad, considering the film is a low-budget film. The police wear these leather outfits that seem reminiscent of a fascist police force, and the motorcycle gang looks like a mix of different gang styles rather than just looking like, a particular kind. Some are even wearing plain street clothes. The leader of the gang, with his hair and costume, looks like a ragged Genghis Khan. Some of the characters were quite simple, yet interesting, like the gang leader named Toe Cutter. The actor plays the character very well, playing him like a mad, philosophical general in a war against the man. And the character of Max was interesting in that his journey towards madness was quite believable, and like most heroes, you were right at his side believing he is doing right. Even when he crosses a line in the final moments of the film. One last gang member is found by a crashed car that the gang member is scavenging. Max cuffs his ankle to the car and takes a broken headlight and connects it to a piece of metal that leads to the flame of a lighter at the other end. The headlight rests under the leaking gas tank. Mac tosses the guy a saw and tells him the chains of the cuffs are made of high tensile steel and takes 10 minutes to cut through. However, if he is lucky, it will take him 5 minutes to cut through his ankle, and then Max just leaves. As Max drives away, the car explodes with the gang member, supposedly. But we all just assume it anyway. And Max just drives Max just drives off into the outback, which, as is seen in the sequel, is nothing but a desert wasteland. This scene was later copied in the graphic novel of Watchmen in the scene of Rorschach's origin when he tells how he killed the child kidnapper after Rorschach snaps. I'll admit the music isn't much to listen to and at times seems a bit cheesy, but at other times helps with the dark mood and tone of the film and even helps with the suspense. The chase scenes and action sequences are great and a joy to watch, and all the cars and motorcycles make every motor enthusiast excited and enjoy the scenes. I've said a few times that the film is dark, however you never see any of the real bad stuff happen. You may get a glimpse of it, but not the whole picture. For instance, the murder of Max's wife and child. When I first saw this film as a little kid, I thought I actually saw Max's wife and baby get run over by the motorcycles. But in the film, all you see are Max's wife holding her baby and running down the street, and then as the motorcycles approaches, she falls back. There's a quick cut of the motorcycles coming towards the camera, and then a cut to a shot of the street and the motorcycle speed past as the baby's shoe and toy ball roll into frame on the street. The only really bad thing I can find with this movie is, other than, the music. The music's a little bad, but not too bad. But the other thing I can see that's kind of bad is the obvious speeding up of the film during some scenes to imply that the gang is riding really fast. However, there was one time altering the speed of the film was good, and that was in a crash that they slowed the film down and a guy's head gets hit by a bike that is sliding across the street, and the impact of the bike looked worse than it actually was because they slowed down the film. In reality, if you actually see it at normal speed, it just taps him and he's just like, what? But at slow speed, it looked like, it looked like it actually cracked him. I give this film 4.5 stars out of 5. Unfortunately, when this film was first released in the United States, the studio thought Americans wouldn't understand the Australian accents, so they dubbed everyone's voice with American actors. Even Mel Gibson's voice was dubbed. Mel Gibson at the time wasn't that well known in America, and I don't think he did that. I don't think he did any American movies yet. I'm not entirely sure. And thus, for years, Americans had to watch Mad Max with this terrible American dubbing that not many could get past to enjoy the movie. Some could actually get past it and still like the movie, but not too many. Which is why, when the second movie came around, it was not released as Mad Max 2 or Mad Max 2 The Road Warrior, because the studio didn't want the sequel to be connected with a film nobody liked. So the second film was just released as The Road Warrior in America during its first run, and everybody liked The Road Warrior. Only the few who liked Mad Max saw the connections to the two movies. It has only been in recent years with the DVD and Blu-ray releases that we have been able to get the original audio for the film of Mad Max, and now everyone can enjoy it. The American dubbing isn't optional to listen to via the audio options in the menu, but I wouldn't recommend it at all. When next we meet, I shall review the sequel that continues the story of Max Rokitansky.